There's a lot of pre-planning that has to take place to get ready for each morning show. This morning's guest does it for a living. Who is he? You'll meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Carolina Cooling and Plumbing in Surfside Beach, behind Dick's Pawn Shop and below the water tower. We're focused on funeral pre-need planning. And we're visiting with the regional manager of Southland National Insurance, Al Burleson. Good morning,
Thank
Al.
you. Good morning.
Thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's early.
It is 7 a.m. on a Friday morning. I hope you weren't out too late last night.
No, I did good.
Check with your planner there and make sure we can get you in early.
Right.
Thanks so much for coming in. Do you know the Surfside Beach area pretty well?
Oh, yeah. I am a native of Charlotte, but actually my mother-in-law lived in Surfside Beach for 25 years or so. So, plus I've traveled down here for years.
So this is old hat.
Oh, yeah. Enjoy this part of the world.
Carolina Cooling and Plumbing's been here for a heck of a long time.
Yeah, I've seen their signs in their trucks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How exciting. So you're based in Charlotte now, Al?
That is correct. Based in Charlotte, and I traveled the two Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina.
Boy, you must know every nook and cranny of your vehicle
I don't buy
pretty
many.
well.
I don't buy many maps. I seem to know the way.
Is that from birth, or is that just from having been in a car a long time?
I haven't been in the car. A lot of windshield time, Greg.
Yeah, a lot of windshield time. How exciting. What prompted that opportunity to get in with Southland National Insurance, Al?
Well, I was selling pre-need for a living in the North Carolina area for several different funeral homes. Southland National came to me, and they were looking for a regional manager for this area. Mm-hmm. That was the good news. The bad news was they were just establishing the Carolinas, so I had not so much a luxury, but I started with no accounts and no income for the company. So the first several years it was challenging at best.
Mm-hmm. So, and you've been with Southland National
almost 10 years now.
Is that right, Al? Wow.
So,
that's tremendous. Had you actually ever worked in a funeral home?
Yes, I have. I worked in a funeral, helped with funerals and whatever. Mostly my career is in the pre-need end, but I've always worked outside, working out of the funeral home.
Right.
So,
when someone hears pre-need, that sounds like it could be applicable to lots of different things, but as it relates to the funeral home industry, what exactly is a pre-need?
A pre-need is when a consumer comes in and wants to go ahead and pre-plan their service, and it gives them the luxury of picking out exactly what they want, how they want it, and the cost of it, which is very, very important. What we find in the funeral business, Greg, is if children have a set amount of insurance money coming in, they feel like that's their budget to spend. When they forget that the widow or whomever's left behind still has bills to pay and still has cost. So by pre-planning, the mom and dad or whoever can go ahead and set that, and that way the children don't have to worry about it. It's prepaid. It's all taken care of. Mm-hmm. Actually, they don't have to show up to the funeral home until the day of the service.
Is that right? So it's a seamless transaction between Southland National or any other insurance provider
between
here?
The funeral home. What Southland National does is the funeral home cannot keep this money if they go in and pre-plan. We hold the money, and we take care of it at time of death. Then the funeral home would contact us. We would send the money to the funeral home and take care of everything. So seamless is a great word. The consumer, it would be very seamless.
How do folks make that decision? Where do they normally go to pre-plan for their funeral? If I was going to try to plan now down the road or plan for my parents?
That's an interesting question, because a lot of people ask. What you need to do is go to the funeral home of your choice. A lot of times it's where maybe your parents have been, or if you're new in town, this is a heavy transit area.
Right.
Go to someone you feel like you can trust and take care of your wishes. So go in ask the funeral director there if you can talk about pre-planning. He or she will show you any equipment you may want to see or whatever, and answer all the questions.
Right. Tremendous. And that is virtually anyone in a funeral home. The funeral director would have that.
Some funeral homes have dedicated pre-need people who specialize in that. Some funeral homes let their employees take care of it, the manager or whatever. So, but most of these people understand pre-need and how it works and how it can best fit the consumer.
Right, right. When folks hear pre-need, is it virtually synonymous to pre-planning?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
That may be more of a trade name for people in the funeral industry, saying pre-need.
Okay,
so,
good.
But pre-planning.
We've seen that a lot of funeral homes will advertise pre-planning or advanced planning, and of course helping to plan even afterwards, obviously after the loss. What are some of the biggest advantages? Obviously, there must be a lot of advantages, Al. What are some of the biggest advantages, or the advantages that jump out most oftentimes of pre-planning?
The advantage is it gives the person who's doing the pre-need the option of doing it exactly like they want it.
Okay.
Because most funeral directors will tell you, we're not sure what mom or dad wanted. Dad may have said one night at the dinner table he was thinking about cremation, and they're torn between what to do and where to go and whatever. A lot of parents and children live apart now since we're in such a mobile society. The kids may come into town and not know where to go or who to go to or whatever. So it answers 1,000 questions that come up in that short period of time. If you sit down and think about it, a funeral director does the same thing a wedding planner does. A wedding planner has approximately 9 months. A funeral director has approximately 3 days to take care of the same details and whatever. So the advantage is you lock down all those details, everything is taken care of. Relieves both financial pressure and strain on the family.
Sure. The advantage is you get more like a wedding planner.
Yes.
You're able to really plan well in advance, hopefully more than 9 months.
Right.
Hopefully it's many years in advance.
Many years.
Sure, sure. How about what you do, Al? When you're traveling around the Carolinas, do you have a set number of places you want to visit whenever you visit a community? Or are you calling well in advance? The funeral directors, their schedules must be pretty dang hectic. They don't have such a thing.
You can make appointments with funeral homes. That don't mean it's going to come true, because they may get a call in the middle of the night. They may be visiting with the family. So what I try to do is set a day to call on them, and if their schedule starts to change, and I try to be flexible.
Right.
So their business is to wait on the family first. Having worked in a funeral home, of course, I realize that they have to get that taken care of. So I just generally set up in the area and work around the area from that.
Even though this is a non-commercial show, share with us a little bit about Southland National Insurance, its background. Of course, you've been with them right at a decade, but they've been around a little longer than
let's
that.
use 10 years. A decade
sounds.
Yeah. Southland National is, as insurance companies go, a fairly small insurance company. We're out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Okay.
We are dedicated to the pre-need business. We don't have agents anywhere other than in the funeral homes, and I use the word agents loosely. All our funeral directors have insurance license, so they can take care of pre-needs. We are owned by the largest independent bank in the United States.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
The largest independent bank in the U.S.?
New South Federal out of Birmingham.
Okay.
So we're very, very financially independent.
Great.
Yes.
And independent.
Yes. So we, again, just focus on funeral homes. And we try to attend all the conventions to see all the changes in the funeral industry. That way we know, or try to feel that we can have the best products.
Right.
Southland National has several different products to fit different families. Some people come in and do their pre-planning, their pre-need, and write one check. Some families may have to do it over time. We offer several different programs where it can fit the consumer, the family, to whatever their financial needs are.
Tremendous.
So it gives them a great deal of flexibility to how they want to take care of it.
Right.
So,
obviously, the parent company for Southland National is very strong and
very,
financially
very strong,
independent
yeah.
and soluble. But where would my money go if I was in planning for, let's say, one of my parents?
Right.
Where's my money actually going to go if I was to pay in a lump sum, or even if I was financing it over time, Al?
Right. Your money would go to Southland National. We would hold that money and till such time, and at time here again, at time of death, we would send it to the funeral home. All this is very tightly regulated by the state of South Carolina, and so it's I'm trying to think of the right words. It's not something where you just put your money in a sock or a drawer somewhere.
Right.
We hold it and invest it until such time.
Okay, so Southland National Insurance is owned by a bank, but would there be differences between an insurance trust and, let's say, a bank trust?
Yes, and that's a good point. The basic difference, if you do an insurance funded pre-need, you're not liable for the interest paid. In other words, you will not get a 1099 at the end of the year. If you do a bank trust pre-need, then someone is liable for that interest that is growing on that money. So we don't want any of our consumers or customers to have to pay tax on that money because a lot of our people are retired.
Right.
And, you know, they don't want any more hassles with taxes or whatever. So I don't think anybody wants to dance with the IRS unless they have to.
A very good point, absolutely.
Yeah. And all of our products, if you do a time pay, either have full insurance benefits on it. God forbid you die before it's paid off, then Southland National pays it off. So you kind of always use the example of driving down the bypass, 17 bypass, and driving in both lanes. In one lane, you're paying off your service. In the other lane, you have a little bit of insurance benefit there to take care of your service, just in case.
Okay, that's very good. Well, I want to talk about a little bit about the funeral homes themselves, but just the mechanics there, Al. Walk us through the mechanics of how that would work, just how y'all would interface with the funeral home. As you said, it should be seamless for the family member. If I've planned out something for one of my parents and obviously they pass away, how is that? How are the mechanics going to work between Southland National Insurance Company and a funeral home A?
My job is to make sure I sit down with the owner, with the funeral directors, choose the correct program that he feels best will fit his families. He knows his clientele.
Right.
Some areas may be economically depressed, some areas may not be. So there's several different programs that they can choose to help the family.
Sure.
Once we establish that, we get them set up on our system. At such time, once that is done, we keep monitoring the funeral homes. That's my job, to go by and make sure everything is working right, make sure everything is in place. Southland National is very, very compliant, strict, and so I am always making sure that funeral director's license are updated, agent license are updated, everything is in line with the South Carolina laws and whatever. So once we get to that point, then their job is to interface with the family. So once they do a pre-need, they would take the paperwork, give the consumer a copy, send us a copy. We keep all of that in the files.
Sure.
At the end of every year, we send them a list of everyone that they have pre-needed with us.
Good.
And they have to go through a series of reports to make sure, you know, some may have early deaths, some may have cancellations or lapses. So we're on top of it.